Well, good weekend, all. Ira Epstein with your financial market wrap-up for this wild week, and it was a wild trading week. And this is April 5th, Friday, 2024. Well, as you can see, the stock indices made a big comeback today, but a lot of them were down for the week. And in fact, if you're a student of outside weeks or outside days, you had that. So you got to pay attention to that. In the metal markets, more rally as the market now is ready for whatever Iran is going to do. The market is built in all kinds of premium. The U.S. has sent a warning and an announcement to Iran that the U.S. had nothing to do. It didn't know that Israel was going to go to Damascus and bomb a consulate, I guess is what you'd call it there. And that they're warning, the U.S. warned them, do not attack American troops. So the warnings have been made. We'll see if Iran pays attention to it or not. And what have they decided to do? Are they going to do it directly? Are they going to use Hezbollah? Are they going to use Hamas? The Houthis, you never know what they're going to do. All of the energies got bids today, as you would expect off of news like that. Grain markets today, corn's languishing, a bit of a bid in the wheat and the soybean market. Bonds and notes, well, you can see that they're both lower. And why? Take a look at the non-farm payroll recap. That's what you really want to do. And you added 300,000 jobs. Now, I saw between Bloomberg and CNBC, 200,000 to 215,000. Nobody had 303,000. I did see some firms that were the high 200s, but nothing over the 300,000. Maybe I just missed somebody's call, but it was strong as can be. Making matters even more interesting, you had a 3.8% unemployment rate. They revised down February's number by 5,000, but left the unemployment rate as is. And you got these all through the area. The cool thing is that you didn't get wage inflation. Now, you have to ask yourself on this a little bit. Where do these people come from? And I think the only logical answer is you dive into the report, and all my subscribers did get that report sent out to me from me this morning, is immigration. So as people are crossing the border, they go to the shelters, they go to family, whatever it might be, then they're working their way into the workforce, and we're seeing that come in. A lot of these people, obviously, not the highest skills, so they're taking the lower paying jobs, whatever the wages, you're paying them, and away you go. Speaking of that, California, went up on the fast food to $20. We're seeing problems show up, and it'll be interesting to see just how all the fast food chains do with this, because it is a problem for them. And we will see who absorbs it, who closes down. There will be some. Independents may just say it's too expensive to do business here. Who's going to pass on and the cost? Will it be able to be passed on? How creative can they get in passing it on? I don't know. But, companies are going to do their best to try to figure a way to stay in business and to pass it on. You can count on that. That's just the nature of the beast. The dollar, well, it gave up the day's best gains off of that. So it was up, but nothing to talk about. And currencies didn't move an awful lot. So when I look at the S&P, you're off the highest close that we had off a monthly chart so far, which was 53.0850, and you're back down from there about 55 points. Okay. When you look at the weekly chart, the same high so far, and the market's doing the same thing because it's the first week of the month, right? But then we start looking at what's going on here, and you could see this is an outside week to the downside. So the pattern is now one of a higher high and a lower low. If you understand outside weeks, this is a pause in this move. Now, if the high of this week is taken out this coming week or the week after, that's often a sign that this is a trap, and that the market takes that out. I look for the market to go to the closest of a main moving average. None of them are above the market. They're all below it. Or the Bollinger Band, which is all the way up at 53.87, if it takes it out. If it doesn't take it out, does it begin a correction where price and the 18-day average could come together? Only if, on the weekly chart, you lose the embedded reading. With the red line closing back under 79, which it hasn't done, you did get that lost reading in the Dow. And you do have an outside week down. And the market stopped exactly at the upper Bollinger Band. So I do have this market geared in that it could easily go to that 18-day average to see where it can regroup from. You don't have that play in the NASDAQ, similar to the S&P, still embedded, but not an outside week, just a pullback in this market. And in the Russell, you never did embed. You got overbought. You have a huge outside week down. And again, a failure right at that number that I ask you all to take that course on, these upper Bollinger Bands, how important they are, especially when you use them with momentum. But on their own, I don't use them the way that you probably do. It's the combination to me that matters. In the 5-year notes, you're now oversold. Any reading when you get a slow stochastic under 30, if one of the numbers is there, it's oversold unless they're both going sideways for several weeks under the 20 level, and you don't have that. Could it get down into this 108 area? Of course it could. That's the lower Bollinger Band. But getting over last week's high could be a problem. It could signal, the market's not ready to nosedive right here. 10-year note, identical type of pattern. Now, we're going to get a number of central banks, not ours, but a number of others starting to talk. Bank of Canada's due to start speaking. You're going to have the European Central Bank. Pressure on both of those banks now, given how their economies are doing, to start saying when they're going to cut interest rates. In America, it's the exact opposite because of this report. I know that you'll still say, this is going to be June. It isn't going to be June, all right? Could it be, I don't know, between June and September? Yeah, any time in there could be a number. But you've got to get numbers that are weak. You don't have it. That doesn't mean the next 2 jobs report in the U.S. can't fall apart. Do you think they're going to? I don't see anything here that says that's the manner of it. When we come to the dollar index, you ran into a buzzsaw, and you've been running into it right at the 100-day average of closes. The market sold off from there in an overbought condition. And in the euro now, the big battle is here. Will the pros sell the 18-day average, which stops over this high, looking for Ms. Lagarde to announce at the upcoming April meeting that, yes, the bank is setting itself up for a June cut in some manner of wording? If so, will that be bearish on the euro? So that's what you got to start thinking to yourself. Canadian dollar, same thing. Notice how it's fighting a battle at the 18-day average. Support's back down here at the 73.16 level. It is oversold, but it's certainly got nothing on that chart at this point looking bullish. In the Japanese yen, as much as the conversation comes from the Bank of Japan that they're going to do these things, whatever, they haven't done anything yet. And the market has been testing them, finding new lows, and then you get the bounce because the bank governors come out. We'll see. I am of the opinion that even if the bank steps in, the rally will be short-lived and the market will want to come down again. We'll see if that's right or wrong. In Bitcoin, still a market that's got the pattern of higher lows, but all of a sudden lower highs. So until this week's high is taken out, the market seems to have gone into a stall. It certainly isn't running with the gold market. Gold's leaving it in its dust. Here you're down $35 for the week. When we do the metal report, you'll see how strong gold has been, and silver. In the Brent crude oil versus the WTI, still slipping away on a weekly basis. The differential here about, though, sitting in the neighborhood of 425. And when you look at Brent on its own, look at how it's come up. This is the first big challenge again of the 100-day average. Now, we've gotten over it before, and we seem to fail when we did that. Will this be one of those parts? You know, going into the weekend, people are looking to see, is Iran going to do something? The war premium's in here. If they don't do that, does that mean the premium on Sunday night starts coming out? That's what you got to ask yourself. The same in WTI. If they do something, what is it they did? Does it impact oil, or is it a one-off? And these two go back to their, if you will, Israel fights with the proxies. I don't know. In the gasoline market, here you come back up. Now, remember, a couple of things are going to happen here. This big wave is the first. I wouldn't be surprised if you come up here, you make a peak somewhere, come back down a bit as the markets gear up and the U.S. refiners kick in, and then you got to get ready for the hurricane season. And now you'll start looking on a regular basis as the season kicks in. It's right around the June period. Once that kicks in, Between June and August, you often get bids in this market, especially if it's an active season, and I can tell you, the Atlantic is very warm. It hasn't been this warm in a very long time. It has the energy source, if these storms pick up, to create havoc. So traders will be watching that. So your season begins there. You put it all together, you try to come up with game plans. But as you see me talk about these markets, I want you to understand what they are. Now, my new charting course is finished. You might want to take, though, this Guide to Technical Indicators 1 and 2. I'll talk about my new charting course next week with you, but it's all done. I've recorded all the chapters. I cover everything you're seeing here, but with great examples. I teach you how to do it. But to have this and get an idea what I'm going to talk about, it's great. This is free. You get all this by going to our website at iraepstein.com. Under the word free offers, all this is there for you. You can also at any time come over here, and if you're on your computer, just move your cursor to the top, an icon will appear, give it a click. Otherwise, iraepstein.com and free offers. We'll talk about the new charting course. It's all finished on the website. I'll talk to you about it next week. You take care.